Welcome to the Dental Marketing Guy Show. I'm Justin, the Dental Marketing Guy, and today this is a huge guest. I'm hugely honored to introduce Fred Joyal. He is, as you probably know, the founder of 1-800-Dentist. He has been a huge key influencer in the dental marketing industry since very early in the days when dentists even started considering marketing. Fred's basically a historian on everything that's gone on in the changes in the industry, the technological changes, everything from taking 1-800-Dentist into its future as 1-800 numbers become less relevant and our digital age is taking over. He's going to tell us all about the history of marketing in dentistry, what he thinks the future is, what's going on right now, who are the movers and shakers, what you need to be doing in your practice in order to stand out from everyone else. And man, it's just such a huge honor to be talking to you. How are you, Fred?
Really good, Justin. I'm happy to be on your show. It should be a lot of fun. There's tons to talk about, obviously, in the marketing world of dentistry. And my company's celebrating its 30th year. I can't even believe it myself that it was back in '86 that we started advertising. So
that's excellent. That's excellent. Time does fly, doesn't it? I mean, wow. It's
a big chunk. It's half my life. I've been doing this, and with more to come. So.
Well, yeah, and I'd love to talk to you about, what's more to come. That's going to be really exciting to me. But for the viewers who aren't too familiar with what you've done in the world of dentistry and marketing, could you tell us a little bit about the history of how you got into 1-800-Dentist, why you got into 1-800-Dentist, and what's changed as time went on?
Well, back in '86, dentists had really just started advertising a little bit more than Yellow Pages. And so we came in and we started doing radio advertising and then television advertising, creating a referral service for dentists. And there was a ton of resistance to it. There were people going, you're really denigrating the profession, and you're harming our image in the consumer's mind. We're professionals. We don't do this sort of stuff. And then eventually it's come full circle, because I had dentists who used to come up to me and say exactly that at the trade show. And I had a dentist come up to me about a month ago, and he said, I just want to tell you, because I had talked about that in a lecture, and he was in it, and he said, I want to tell you I was one of those guys. And he said, I'm here to apologize and tell you that I was wrong. You've done more for this profession in terms of promoting than any society's ever done. We've spent $500,000 promoting dentistry with 1-800-Dentist at this point. Nobody has spent that much. And what happens is more people go to their own dentist because of me than call me looking for a dentist. So I believe we've had a tremendous positive impact, and we certainly helped thousands of our members over the years to grow their practices. But the evolution of things has gone from what we did. We were on television for 20 years as our mainstay of advertising. And now it's probably a third of what we do. We're deep in social media. We're deep in online search at this point. So the landscape has completely changed. And of course, the dentists all feel the need to do advertising at this point, to do some sort of promotional marketing, whether it's true advertising like print, television, radio, buying clicks, things like that. But they feel the need, and they're not wrong, to promote themselves.
Yeah. And what do you think, what caused that change? What were you just seeing things before they happened, or do you think 1-800-Dentist actually changed the game?
I think we were not completely responsible for changing the game, but we were a really powerful influence in the fact that the consumer needed to be reminded to take care of their teeth, and that there were options available. And so I think that a lot of dentists believed, oh, well, we'll just do what they ask us to do, or they'll show up when they show up, and we'll try to remind them to come. And it's been an opportunity to really expand the industry. And of course, with the advent of implants and cosmetics and single visit dentistry, all of these things have really changed how people are perceiving dentistry. And, you know, cosmetics is a big thing. It's certainly appearance. Whitening has had a huge influence on dentistry, that people are suddenly much more concerned about having white teeth. And that was kind of the extreme makeover was a big influencer on that. But what I laugh at is when you look at old TV shows, like you look at an old Star Trek episode and you look at the actors' teeth, and they're just horrible. They couldn't even get a job today with those teeth. The whole aesthetic of teeth has gone very hard in the direction of straight and white. And that's a big deal. That's a big change.
What do you think has changed culturally where, I mean, you don't take care of yourself. You don't take care of yourself. If you have a bad set of teeth, the impression is you don't take care of yourself. And if you don't take care of yourself, why are you going to take care of my company? So why should I hire you? When do you think that change started happening?
I think it's just been really, really gradual. I don't think there was a tipping point moment where people just started to care. Maybe it's high definition television. Who knows? Where we started to notice what these actors really looked like. But I think it just happened gradually over time, just like, you know, grooming in general became more and more important. But yeah, you're absolutely right that now you put a ceiling on your career arc if you don't have good looking teeth, because it is an indicator. And a lot of times it's unconscious with people that their response to your appearance is, they may not vocalize it or even be aware of it, but they're looking at it and they're having a judgment about how you take care of yourself. And that's certainly in the job market, in the relationship world. Those two things are the two places people are spending all their lives. So it's become much more important.
You know, I think I heard some stat somewhere, so I'm not the expert on this, but somewhere I heard that psychologists believe that we actually make like half of our judgments on a person based on the first 3 seconds of looking at them.
Yeah, I've seen studies on that too. Yeah, and and we're not always right, but we are making a serious judgment about people in that time frame. I think it's very primal that we've always had to assess, almost on a tribal level, somebody right away. Are they a threat? Are they a friend or foe, essentially? And so we're doing that stuff. You know, we're hardwired in our Cro-Magnon brains to do that. You know, so.
And when you talk about psychology, remind me, I think this is 1-800-DENTIST, or maybe Futuredonics, the parent company. You guys actually do some sort of personality test or some sort of screening process before you hire someone. Is that accurate? Yeah. Was that your company?
Because what we're looking for when somebody's answering the phone in our call center is we want somebody who can be helpful and compassionate, and we teach them to be non-judgmental about people, because we want them to be listening on the phone. If somebody's called us, it means they need help with their teeth. So we're doing our best to help them to find a dentist they're going to want to go to on a regular basis, because we believe that that's important. That's important for your health as well as your appearance, which means it's going to affect your whole life. So if you don't have a dentist, you need one, and their job is to really help somebody do that. And they really are empathetic. And so we have learned, you know, we have taken our 20 best operators and profiled them to tell us what personality types can do this all day long and be really helpful and talk to these people about, you know, what is a very personal issue, what they have a lot of apprehension about. They have apprehension about finding a dentist, not just going. We did studies that showed us that consumers have equal level of apprehension of just about picking a dentist, because it's the great unknown. They have no idea what that experience is going to be like till they sit down in the chair and lean back, and they're pretty darn anxious about it.
Yeah, not only does it require a high level of trust, but I think people really know deep down, if they're honest with themselves, that you don't really know, you can't gauge the clinical skills of a dentist. So yes, all you have to go off of is that halo effect. Does the dentist himself have nice teeth? Does his staff have nice teeth? You know, are they like you said, empathetic? You know, that's a big one, because if someone's not empathetic on the phone, so this is the front desk, it's not even the dentist, but that halo effect, you know, if the front desk answers the phone, is she's cares about, you know, you're in pain and all that, or the opposite, if she doesn't, the inference from any reasonable person is the dentist is the same way. If the dentist puts up with this behavior at the front desk, that's how he is.
Well, and that's one of the least trained positions in the practice. I want to go into what you said, but it just reminded me of this amazing story that somebody just told me, that he called a dental practice because he wanted to see how the receptionist behaved. So he said, "Hi, I found the practice name on my list of dentists with my Delta plan. So I found your name, and I need to get some dental work done. Do you have a website that I can go see?" And she said, "No, we don't have a website," and hung up.
Oh,
that was it. She was like, she was done helping him right then. Like, "I don't have a website," click. Like,
that's
we wish we had a website, but can I send you some information or tell me more about your problem? Right? He just hung up. But that's 180 degrees from where the experience you need to start giving. And that's why I've written a couple of books on marketing based on everything that I've learned about what consumers are asking us for and what I've seen amazing dentists do. The first book is called Everything is Marketing, which is because everything that you do in the practice either increases or decreases case acceptance. So it's all about how to create that step by step, how to create the mindset in the practice and then create the team that does it. Second book really talks to what you referenced before, which is, it's called Becoming Remarkable, how to create a dental practice everyone talks about. Because now when somebody talks about you, they talk online, they talk with their thumbs, and it's permanent, it's searchable, it's likable, it's shareable, and you can't delete it. So you have to create a remarkable experience from start to finish. It's not about, like you said, it's not about the clinical skills. That's 20% of the experience, maybe. It's everything else, all the other dimensions of that experience that they're judging your dentistry and what's going to create loyalty and trust with that patient.
Yeah, that's really powerful. You know, things like Google reviews. It's, you know, it's just amazing. Like, You're telling me, you know, I've had a lot of dentists contact me. I do SEO for dentists, and a lot of dentists contact me, and they're like, you know, I don't know, I don't feel comfortable asking for a Google review. It's like, well, how many referrals did you get this month?
Yeah, it's like, I don't feel comfortable with a lot of stuff. You know, when I started my business, I was going door to door to dental practices. I wasn't particularly comfortable with it, but that's how you build a business. And now this is where they're going to find out about you. You have to find a way to get comfortable or to get systematic. That is what I'm telling people. There has to be a systematic way of generating reviews, whether you're asking yourself or you're emailing them or your team's asking. That's the way of the world. I mean, people once they start reading online reviews as a behavior, they want it for everything. And we have to be there in the dental field.
Yeah, I mean, auto dealerships do it. You know, restaurants do it. It's kind of silly that the dental industry wouldn't do it. I mean, come on, guys.
They don't want to do it. They don't want to. Nobody likes to change their own behavior. They love change. They love the modern world. They just don't want to change themselves. And dentists get very much locked into the patterns of what's worked for them, what's made them move through their day very efficiently. They're much more engineer artist personalities than, you know, that aggressive business personality, and which makes them great dentists, but it makes it much more difficult for them to survive in the small business world that you see them in every day and that you're helping them with. I mean, they need help with all of that stuff.
Do you think that's partly why the rise of corporate dentistry, and, you know, a lot of older dentists who are solo practitioners are saying, like, oh, all these young kids, they get out of dental school, they go into corporate dentistry. Do you think that's part of it? Is I hear a lot of dental students about to graduate saying, I just want security. I got these student loans. I just want a paycheck. I want a solid paycheck. Do you think that's partly, do you think that the comfort, the not wanting to get out as an entrepreneur, just I'm a dentist, I want to be a dentist. Do you think that's what's causing the rise in corporate dentistry, or at least one of the things?
Well, it's that, and it's the consumer's demand for convenience, and it's the huge consumer demand now for a dentist to accept their insurance coverage. I mean, 10 years ago, dentists were dropping their plans. The goal was to be a fee-for-service practice. Now, 86% of practices accept at least one plan, and corporate accepts plenty of plans. And that's at every income level. That's what we found. People want the insurance to pay for as much as possible. And so corporate is taking advantage of that. And they're systematizing the business aspects of the business and helping people who, as you say, they got student loans, they come out, they can't buy a practice anymore. They're 300-400 G's in debt. Where's the money? Who's going to lend them the money to buy a practice? And now they're going to, some of these people are servicing $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month in debt. They need a paycheck. So so corporate's attracting them, giving them a place to work and to make money and to sometimes make very good money. The career arc is perceived very differently than it was 20 years ago, certainly. When I get older dentists in a lecture, I say, what did you pay for dental school? Some of these guys paid $5,000 a year to go to dental school. It's $100 a year now. That's some inflation right there.
Yeah. And, all right. So let's talk about, there's all these changes going on. Let's talk about how has Fred Joyal changed? How has 1-800-DENTIST changed? You got Future Donics is the parent company, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're part of Dentsply Sirona because they saw that what the consumer needed to know about was, at this point, single visit dentistry, CAD/CAM technology that makes it possible to never have to get a temporary. Most people don't know that this exists. And what we've seen, because I believe this as I started to see CEREC come along 10 years ago, really was when I really started to notice it, is that when people hear about this, there's people who've been putting off dentistry for years, who have the money, who have the need, who just don't. They're like, I know it's 2 or 3 visits, I just can't do it right now. They're too busy. And they find out that it's possible to get it done more quickly. And they come right in and they'll start a big case right away. And so this, I think, is the next big wave. And it's what Sirona saw, is that the consumer needs to become aware of this. And so part of our advertising now is to tell people of this. About a quarter of our members have CAD/CAM technology. Now, people have all sorts of different needs, and we try to match them up at whatever level they're at. But technology is really changing dentistry too. And we want people to know about it. So this is how we've changed. We're starting to change our messaging along with the media that we use. We're moving into every way that we can inform people we're using. And Facebook is a huge medium for us at this point, which 3 years ago even wasn't true. That's how fast the world changes. And dentists are having trouble keeping up with that, for sure, as you know.
The way things are moving so fast, it seems like dentists are, they're in the trenches, they're doing the work, they got the handpiece, and it seems like every 2 minutes there's some new software, there's some new gizmo or gadget coming out. I mean, what would you say for the dentists? I talked to a couple of dentists on Dental Town. They were asking about your partnership with Sirona, how big it is and all that. I didn't actually get any specific questions off that thread, but kind of the general tone was, man, it just seems like there's always something new. There's always something big going on. What really is the next big thing? And I know you're big on technology. You're big on CEREC and that single day dentistry. So you think that's the next big wave? That's the next thing?
I think that, and you know this as a marketer, convenience is a huge marketing advantage. And one visit versus 2 undeniably is a marketing advantage, but it's an experience advantage. There isn't a patient out there that says, let's drag this out over as many days as possible. the idea of getting it done in one day is huge. And just the quality of the result has grown and grown and grown to the point where it's basically the equivalent of a lab. Now, there may be some labs that the dentist used for his cosmetic cases, his anteriors, that are better than he's going to get from a CEREC technology, maybe. But not everybody wants perfection, and a lot more people want convenience. And I think that's technology that brings convenience and also says, this is modern dentistry. I mean, that's a lot of the response we're getting is they're going, oh, dentistry is finally changing. Digital radiography being another, it's, you know, from a consumer standpoint, they get to see a full-size image of what's going on in their mouth. And it's a lot easier for a dentist to explain that. So to me, it's digital radiography is baseline. CAD/CAM's critical and becoming more so from a convenience standpoint. And then there's 3D imaging that's basically makes implants much easier, but that information is much more powerful clinically. And it's you show a person a 3D image of their head, that blows their mind. They've never seen anything like that in any doctor's office, never mind their dentists. And so it's all of those things are powerful marketing tools and they're powerful clinical tools.
So what cities have your partnership been focusing on? I think you guys are releasing in some bigger metropolises throughout the country, you and Sirona?
Yeah, well, we're national in how the whole business works, but we've done a push for single visit dentistry in San Diego and Chicago in particular. Also did it in Phoenix and Portland and Boston. And San Antonio as well. So we did a test market in those cities just to see if it had an effect on people. And that's what I was telling you is what we started to see is it wasn't a flood of people going, I want single visit dentistry, because it's not people walking around going, I need a crown today and I don't want a temporary. But there are people who've put off their dentistry who suddenly hear this message that there's a new age of dentistry out there. And it brings up this need to a higher level, and that's how the dentist builds value in his practice. That's how he creates a remarkable experience, is with this technology, and making it more convenient to get better results. We live in a world of everything's faster, better, and cheaper, and so everybody's waiting for that to happen in dentistry. It will be faster and better. I don't know how quickly we'll be cheaper. But we can be more affordable when we're more efficient.
Right. So speaking of efficiency, okay, obviously CEREC has some advantages there. I know in your first book, Everything is Marketing, which, by the way, really changed my whole career. Tell you a little history about me. I was doing SEO for all businesses. I kind of became known for getting really good SEO results for my area in San Luis Obispo, California. And I really wanted to target a niche. I wanted to say, I want to own an identity. I wanted to become the real go-to expert. And dental was always towards the top of that list. Your book actually changed my mind about, I was considering personal injury lawyers. I was considering moving companies. I was considering different things. And I had my own reasons for each one based on my past. And let me tell you, when I read your book, I was like, hands down, I had no idea there's so much to this industry. I had no idea the psychology that goes into this. And man, it was really incredible. And I know one of the things you mentioned in your book was how CEREC and other technology, not just CEREC, but all technology can be used as a marketing tool, where when you show them this thing looks like it's from outer space, and it just shows that you care because you want to stay on top of things. So, that's comforting, it's like, oh, this dentist actually cares about my oral health because he went out and he bought a Velscope, even though he's not going to make a lot of money doing Velscope oral cancer examinations. He might not make any money off of that, but it shows that he cares. And with that, and so it's kind of hard to quantify that, right? It's one of those serendipitous things. It's just one of those things that you should do. But I was curious if you know of any studies or just based on your personal experience, what it is that you've seen in terms of using technology as a marketing tool?
Well, certainly when you bring your patient in and you do a restoration in one visit, and you tell them, I have this technology, they're going to go out and tell people about it. I mean, it's just like anything that's different when you suddenly go into a business and it's suddenly way more convenient in one way or another, or way more comfortable, or just more exciting. It's, you know, there's a reason why there's a line outside the Apple store every time they release something new, is people love this stuff and they talk about it. And that's, you know, to me, any sort of technology that gives a better experience, has a certain wow element to it, you're generating word of mouth, which are the best patients. That's what I always tell dentists, if your number one source of patients isn't word of mouth, you're not giving a great experience. That's the biggest indicator. You need to stop any advertising and change the experience of the practice, because people aren't talking about you for a reason. Or worse, they're just not recommending you for a reason. So technology can always do that. A Velscope's another great example of, you know, like that we are doctors of the mouth here, and we want to detect any sort of cancer very early when it's treatable. Letting them know, you know, when you've got comfort, you've got convenience, and you're showing them that you care. That's a huge part of creating the value of the dentistry in the trust and loyalty that patient is going to have for the practice. That's what you want. It's always about a long-term relationship with the dental patient. It's not about one visit or two. It's how do you take care of them for 10, 20, 30 years? That trust is everything for them. And the result is there.
Absolutely. And so with technology, that's one way to show it. But, you know, I would also say the opposite is true as well, where if you're a dental practice with a budget, a marketing budget, you know, it kind of blows my mind, honestly, Fred. But you know, they'll spend $100K plus on a toy, but then the front desk answers the phone with rudeness.
Yeah, right. Well, it's easier. It's easier to buy the toy than to change the and they, you know, it's either it's not a nice person or not. They're so busy they only pick up the phone 3 out of 4 times, and that's like, there's no small business that could survive that except dentistry. That's how profitable dentistry is we can answer the phone 3 out of 4 times when we're open and still stay open, and not have a nice person answering the phone. Yeah, it's remarkable how that is the norm. And but the dentist is a clinician. He's a surgeon, essentially. So he needs those skills, and he developed those skills, and he's the personality who had those skills. So when you say, when it's the fuzzier stuff like marketing, it's like, no, you need really nice people. You need a great culture. You need a great experience. The lighting needs to change in here. Okay. You need to redo this reception area. It's like, what? That's got nothing to do with my dentistry. It's like, no, just in the patient's mind when they walk through the front door, creating an impression about you. Just like we're talking about that 3 seconds, people make a judgment about you based on your appearance. They're doing the same thing when they get on the phone with a dental practice or walk in a dental office. That we are unconsciously registering all of this stuff in our environment from people and from the whatever sight and sound and smell that we encounter. It's just who we are, and you can ignore it and believe they say it's not important, but it is important, and it's having an effect, and will have a greater and greater effect on your business as dentistry gets more competitive. Corporate dentistry is making dentistry more competitive. You either have to step up your game or join corporate. There's no third avenue anymore, not long term. So that's why I'm encouraging them. Create a remarkable experience, and you'll have an invincible practice.
Yeah, I really like that. And, you know, you touched on that a little bit in your first book too. Yeah. Is one of the tips that I give dentists, and some of them I find have already done this, but I'm willing to bet dimes to donuts most dentists do not do this, is your advice on using chapstick. It's so cheap. Like, how much is that chapstick versus the CEREC, right? It's like get your ducks in a row first. But not to say anything bad, because it's so hard to run a dental office. I mean, it's so hard. Sometimes you just got to have someone from the outside who's outside the controlled chaos come in and say, let's give people chapstick halfway through their procedure.
Yeah, well, and that's really true too. Is a lot of times that's why the dentists I know who are successful, they have somebody coaching them. They use outside resources. They use software. They use an SEO expert like you. They use a practice consultant that says, this has to change. This system has to be in place. You have to start collecting your money ahead of time. You need to fire that person. You need to get systematic about these 3 or 4 things. And, anybody who's really good has coaches. And dentists sort of think, well, I went to dental school, I should know how to do it. It's like, no, you shouldn't. Don't feel like you should. You know how to do the dentistry, and you have to keep training yourself to get better at that. Get help. There's people out there who do this stuff all day long. SEO is an amazing example, right? Because my joke is, if you bought a book on SEO, you're doomed, because the idea of a book on SEO means it's outdated. The fact that it was printed and you have a hardcover means the information is too old to actually use. It's just, it moves too fast. Right.
Yeah, tactically it does. Yeah, and I think I do a pretty good job on my YouTube videos. I just kind of break it down. I'm like, look, it comes down to it's more like a broad marketing idea, because SEO is just one form of marketing, but it's almost, SEO is becoming the result of good marketing.
Yeah.
And so, and there's some technical elements to it too, but I truly believe that, it's based on relationship building and driving really good content. But it's ultimately comes down to, are you willing to do what other dentists are not willing to do? And, the simple things like, we had Dr. Sunny Bahuja on the show, and he told us about how few amount of seconds it takes for them to take a thank you greeting card and for the entire office to sign it. Not just the dentist, not just the front desk, but the entire office. They all sign it. They all write something nice that's applicable because they listen to the patient. And right. I forget how many seconds it takes. Maybe like 3 seconds per person.
It's not 5 minutes, right? It's not sucking up, chair side time. It's just, but it's really just, it's a choice to do that, to say, we want to be expressive about how much we appreciate it. I mean, and that's a rule in business anyway. When you express appreciation, whether it's to your customer or to your employee or to your spouse, that almost nothing gets mileage to that level, because everybody wants to be appreciated. And many times, I'm probably guilty of it as an employer just as much as anybody else, is but I'm making the effort. At least I know how valuable and important it is to take the extra 5 seconds, 10 seconds to express appreciation. And the dentist got to know that in creating that experience in his practice, when he does it to his team, they do it to the patients. So it's a chain reaction from the top.
Absolutely. Would you say, I mean, that's probably something corporate dentistry is not doing. So, that the handwritten cards, signing by every member of the team. So, if you're just keeping up with corporate dentistry,
they're going to outstrip you on the systems that they can do, because they're doing human resources collectively. They're doing billing all centrally. They're doing after hours call handling and appointing, and building websites where you can make and change your appointments online. They can invest in that stuff, and they can manage that stuff more cost effectively. So you're going to beat them on the experience. People are going to go, I don't like the feel of corporate. Not everybody. Some people don't care. But if you want a successful practice, there will be people who say, no, I want the personal experience of a dentist that I know that cares about me and has a whole team that when I walk in there, I'm happy to see them and they're happy to see me.
Well, excellent.
That's how you're going to survive and thrive. You certainly want to survive, but you want a nice, a nice place to go to work every day for the next 20 or 30 years.
Right.
So,
right.
That means make profitable, happy employees and loyal patients.
That's right. Let's say as we're coming to a close on our time, what would you say for your book, Becoming Remarkable? What are the top three tips you could give our listeners to take away from this interview? If you remember nothing else from this interview, it is these top 3 tips that can be found in your new book.
Okay, so I like to be really practical in that sort of advice. Number one thing, have somebody great answering that phone at the front desk. Like we talked about right at the beginning, it's right there. That person is mission critical. She is the aorta of the practice, and many practices have that aorta clamped off with a really average or negative person. And make sure you're always answering that phone. So put 2 people there if you have to. And don't worry about if you're paying them 2 people $30,000 and you get 1 better case a year because of that. 1 big case, she's paid for herself. And I guarantee you more that's going to happen. Second thing that's incredibly powerful, practical, patient testimonial videos. They are the most utilizable marketing tool that you have, and nothing is more credible than a patient sitting right there that you've recorded on a smartphone who says, I love this dentist, I love what she's done for me, I wouldn't go to anybody else, she's fantastic, she's changed my life. You put those, and you can use them on your website, on Facebook, everywhere. They can just go everywhere. They're just extremely powerful. And the third thing would be, see, I had it and I jumped off to something else. But it's probably what we talked about too is get help. Don't try to do it all yourself. There are people out there that know how to do this stuff. Certainly, I recommend reading my books, and I recommend having your team read my books. But get somebody to coach you on SEO. Get somebody in your office to refine the systems in your practice. Go visit other dentists and see what they do. Participate in the community. Certainly, technology is going to be part of it. Find dentists that use technology that can show you how it works in their practice. But get help. You don't have to do it alone.
Yeah, and you shouldn't. I mean, we had Dr. Dan Marut from Quality Dental Plan, QDP, on the show, and he said, "Do what you do best and delegate the rest." And I thought that was great. That was real catchy. Yeah, well, that's awesome. Those tips really hugely important. I totally agree with you on the video testimonials. That is huge because your patients can actually gauge the veracity of what's being said. There is nothing more ridiculous than a piece of text on your website saying the person's first name and initial, no picture. I mean, that has got to be so 1992. If that was
that's like a movie review that says, where they've taken 5 words from the reviewer. It's got that little credibility at this point. But all the way at the other end is a patient just talking right to camera, talking so that person can identify with that person. They know it's not big production value or anything like that. It's just a genuine, totally credible testimonial. It's a big deal.
And I think a lot of people do better appearing natural when it's just off the cuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you just put up your iPhone, like that might cause a tiny bit of apprehension for some people, but it's way different when you got the lights and the 1,000 million dollar cameras. Yeah. Completely.
Yeah, well, and what I tell people is the dentist, as I say, just say, if you don't like it, we won't use it. Don't worry about it. But just tell us what it's like to be a patient of ours. And they will, in 30 seconds, they'll say amazing things. And I say to the dentist, it doesn't matter if they stutter or they repeat themselves or they pause that's all adds to the credibility of it. If you ask them to do it again, they won't be as good as the first time. They'll say, I want to do it again. They won't nail it like they did the first time because it comes straight from the heart the first time. And that's what's so powerful. It's not the words, it's everything else. So
That's excellent. Well, it's been a huge honor having you on, Fred Joyal. You know, I saw you at the CDA Anaheim, and I told you, you know, Howard Ferrand and Fred Joyal, those were the two guests I wanted on my show more than anyone else. And I finally got both of you on the show. Really excited to see what happens with this Sirona deal. I think you're on to something with the, you know, you've always been cutting edge. Back when 1-800 numbers were totally unheard of, you jumped on that, and you've been parlaying that ever since. I really like it. But yeah, I think, you know, if you're considering getting a CEREC, if you're considering using technology as a marketing item, definitely consider that. And also consider, you know, the low-hanging fruit, the things like the Chapstick and the greeting cards. Consider those things first, because those are easy buying decisions. It's just a matter of taking action.
And it's the small details that people remember.
Right, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Joyal. It's been a huge honor. You've given us some immense value. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Justin. It was a pleasure.
Excellent. And for our listeners, if you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. Wherever you see this, if you see this on the Dental Marketing Guy blog, on Dental Town, wherever you see it, on YouTube, I'd love to hear from you. If you've got questions for Fred, I'll forward those to him. Thank you for listening to the Dental Marketing Guy Show.